communications company, they won't talk to you? Yeah, Cecilia and Christine Savarino. Christine Savarino in Harrison, New York, who lives in White Plains. This all started in November 11th, in the year 1993. November 11th was Veterans Day, Armistice Day, till May 15, 2004. Now, how long is that? It's 10 years, right? And how many months? See, December, January, February, March, April, May. 6 months. Wow, 10.5 years. 3 days, 4 days. Okay.
I was just trying to re-induct the draft, Dave. That means me and you can both be inducted. Yeah? Come on, Dave.
Now then, folks, you remember this judicial misconduct and disability complaint against George C. Dixon, Justice, Village of Chatham, County of Columbia, State of New York, United States of America, submitted as personal knowledge by Glendora, chat with Glendora on 42 TV stations, including Albany, New York City, and Washington, D.C. All right, so this copy went to Judith K. Let me show you that envelope. All right, and back it came to Glendora. Here it is, back it came to Glendora. With this letter from Stuart M. Cohen. Chief Judge K forwarded your judicial misconduct and disability complaint against George C. Dixon to this office for acknowledgement and reply. Your complaint is returned enclosed. It is not appropriate to submit to this court copies of complaints filed with the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. Why do they have such dumb people working in the offices and taking your tax money? Here is the envelope that came back. Now, attached to the envelope, and I think it was by mistake that it was not censored, was this note. And it says, one of our regulars. Should I send the what? Should I send this to Mary for filing only? And what's that say? Snooky? What does it say? Oh, I don't know what it says. So what do, folks? We take a great big 9x12 envelope for everybody to read on the postal trail, which says, May 18, 13 days to Memorial Day. Judith K., George C. Dixon, Village of Chatham, County of Columbia, State of New York, United States of America, is doing everything you do not want done in the unified court system. Glendora wants you to know. Your underlings are trying to keep you from knowing. Now, their attempts to ornament and decorate and embellish and deck and adorn and beautify and dignify and grace and enrich and emblazon and garnish and bedeck Glendora and her TV audience, that's you folks, do not appreciate. We do not appreciate that, do we? We want the word to go directly To you. Should we try 25 Beaver Street? That's in Manhattan. To Judith K., and I do mean Judith K., the New York State Court of Appeals, 20 Eagle Street, Albany, New York, 12207. We are honored to be one of your regulars. No, do not give it to Mary. Give it to Judy, to whom it is addressed. Yours in truth, and in Amor Patriae, Glendora, chat with Glendora on 42 TV stations, including Albany, Manhattan, and Chatham. Opus 1143, 2 hours and $3. And here's the service list. That's McDermott and Zabby and Richardson, that stack you see on the floor. And then to Natalia and Kleinbaum, and to the Center for Judicial Accountability, and to you, the most important of all, Glendora TV audience. Why does the judge, when he was asked, how do you feel? And he says, I'm able to keep my head above water. Why is that? Because wood floats. Here, this is ladies out night, and the men have to do all the work. Church supper. Folks, a boy brought home his report card from school, and it was all A's, and his daddy says he must get his intelligence from me, and his mother says, he must. I still have mine. This is Glendora versus Nasty Natalia. Preferred properties, preferred country properties in Chatham, New York. If you go to Chatham, and I wouldn't if I were you, I would be very careful not to run into these people. This is a notice of motion by Glendora for an itemized statement giving Glendora for each add-in to the sum, giving grounds for each atom to the sun. The movement is Glendora. The return date is June 6 D-Day. The location is stated super. The relief requested is stated in the title. Grounds are Glendora has a right to know the add-ins for the sum and the grounds for same. General obligations law, State of New York. Legal basis is IBID. Glendora has to understand the charge, otherwise she wins the appeal. Supporting papers are Glendora's complaint, answer and defense of March the 23rd, that was 110 pages. Glendora's opening statement of March the 30th, that was 40 pages. Glendora's ad dominum of April the 13th, that was 20 pages. Glendora's 220-page complaint to the United States District Court, Chicago. Glendora's attachment number 1 to her notice of appeal, and Glendora's affirmation in support of the motion affixed here too. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora avers she served the within notice of motion and affirmation attached thereto upon preferred country properties and upon James Kleinbaum at their designated addresses. Service was by U.S. First Class Mail on April 24th, 2004. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora asseverates she is telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and always has. So help her God, Glendora has a statutory right to an itemized listing of each add-in to this sum and the grounds for each. Glendora cannot be accountable for a charge she does not understand. Further, Glendora has to have an order. A notice is not appealable. Glendora has to have an appealable order. Then a judgment has to be issued on a separate paper. Otherwise, this paper dated March the 4th, 2004, or May the 4th, rather, 2004, by George C. Dixon is a nullity. Yours in truth. and in Amor Patriae. And it went to, or it's going to go to the clerk of the court and to the village of Chatham, to the county court, Columbia, county administrative judge Saricia, 3rd Administrative Judicial District, to Kleinbaum, the liar for hire, to Preferred Country Properties, to Natalia, Nasty Natalia, and her brat sister, and her mother Marie, her father, her brother Carlos, and Preferred Country Properties, a chat with Glendora, that's you, the most important. Servant, the Center for Judicial Accountability Incorporated, Judith K. McDermott, Zabi, Richardson, Pataki, Lippman, and Trafficante. And this was Opus 1140, and the hours were, it must have been 4, 5, 6 hours. And the cost must have been about $10. Over here, folks, you see the notice of appeal. It just starts up here. And it's being printed, and that too is very expensive and takes a lot of time. And that's the attachment 1 to it. And next of course is going to be the answer and the response and the defense of Glendora. And next will be the opening statement of March the 23rd, March the 30th, and then Glendora's ad damnum, and then the complaint that went to the Chicago court. And here is the order by this crooked judge named George Dixon, Village Court. Please take notice that after hearing the proof and facts between the parties and deliberating thereon, the court's decision is judgment for damages in favor of the plaintiff for the amount of $1,995.39 against Glendora. Now, if that isn't kangaroo court, you're going to hear a whole lot more about it. So the first thing is the appeal, and that's being worked on. Hopefully that will be served Monday the 24th. The doctor told Harry he mustn't mow the lawn, that he could have a heart attack. So Harry went home and he says, "Son, will you please mow the lawn?" And the son says, "Yes, Dad, I'll start immediately." And that gave Harry a heart attack. I think I brought the wrong size cover. We have 3 of them. One for the 1980 Lincoln, and one in the middle that was too small. And this one is too small. No, then we got one older. We'll go try the other one. Sizes 5 and 4 and 6 maybe. We're here for the concert tonight. This is the Ichabod Crane High School.
Pardon me?
Ichabod Crane High School.
Yep.
Folks, I haven't been in an auditorium like this for years. Have you? Are we supposed to see about 700 or 800 people?
ice creams. The train got a mouth full of safety pins. Oh, Glendora, I want to see more of you.
Jenny used to be on the field right over here on the right. You know, she's not there anymore.
Wow. Folks, here's some interesting chats with Glendora
Mailbox
that came in on the telephone.
and Wednesday, 8:33 p.m. Hi, Vesta. It's Dan calling. It's Thursday morning. The concert starts at 7, so I expect that we would be getting to you around 7:15 and driving you over there. And yes, I think we will even drive you back. Bye.
Not going to leave me.
Wednesday.
Oh, it was such a good concert.
4 p.m. Hi, Glendora. This is Bruce Bergman. It's Thursday around 9 o'clock in the morning, and it looks like a nice day if you want to go up to Stuyvesant Falls today. Please give me a call back. Bye-bye. Wednesday, 11:36 p.m.
Hi, Glendora. This is Andy Hersman. How you doing? I found a great company that does internet streaming for public access shows. It's $25 a month, but basically just send the tape in, and they do the rest. And they say they reach over 10,000 people a month. So, it might be something you'd be interested in. If you are, the guy's name is Dick Wolfie, Woelfie, and you can reach him at area code 201-792-3636. Okay? And, you can tell him I sent you or whatever, but I think it would be pretty cool, if you can send one tape and reach the entire world. Pretty cool opportunity for your show. All right? I hope you're doing well, and I'll keep you informed about the court issues here. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Andrew Hersman, thank you. I think that's philosophic.
Thursday, 7:00
Thank you.
a.m. If you don't win an Emmy pretty soon, I'm going to be very, very upset. Best program on television by far.
If you don't win an Emmy very soon, I'm going to be very, very upset. It's the best program on television by far. And that gentleman has left that message 3 times.
All messages. Hang up.
So,
Leave
okay.
all messages in a mailbox. Press 3 and
Let's give him
the mailbox
a
number
joke.
to play.
There had been several reports that an earthquake was coming. And so these parents of a young boy sent the boy to safety far away with his uncle. And the next day, the parents got a telegram that said, "I'm returning the boy. Send the earthquake." Folks, what's going on here? This is George C. Dixon. This is the second notice of appeal. This is the first attachment to it. It's 40 pages long. It's 19 cents. I have to adhere. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. I think that's wonderful about Andrew Herzman finding the person who puts a chat with Glendora on the internet. This could save a lot. It's a great world you have, it's a great world you have, God. Okay, let's print page. The new Canon copier will be my 5th one. But this little fella, he's still doing his job. He's still working hard. And if you wash his face right here, that rubber roller, can you see it? Right here, this rubber roller. If you wash his face with a Bounty and wipe it, then he works very well, perfectly, for a long time. So I haven't opened the new one. The new one was $149. The first Canon that I bought was $300. And this new one that was $149, and isn't it disgusting? $15 tax brought it up to $168 or something. But he's good. He's good. Let me show you how good he is. Get it up to F. What does F stand for, folks? It stands for everything in this pile. And you have to, he won't count any higher than 9. So since it's 19 sets, I have to count the sheets ahead of time. There it is, F. If I do open the new one, I'll show it to you. But he's done all of these odious legal jobs. And it was bought in August of the year 2002. So he's like a year and a half old, right? And he makes such good copies. And this much is done. And so this is page 16, and this is to do. 40 pages. Nasty Dixon. George C. Dixon, so-called justice of the village court, Chatham. His wife, the clerk. Nasty Natalia, her brat sister, Mother Maria, her father, Carlos, and preferred country property. Stay away from those people. Do you think that we're going to get them out of the evil that they are doing to people? I think good chance. We got rid of Silverman, Donald Silverman, who went evil on the Westchester County bench, Supreme Court. We got rid of de Blasio. I start and everything I do is rejected, but months go by and pretty soon it happens. So there's a good chance that we can protect the people in Chatham from the village of Chatham itself, from George C. Dixon and Joanne Dixon, and from the nasty Natalia Conclave and their liar for hire, James Kleinbaum. Well, here again is the 7th fugitivism of the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco. Kathy Catterson, the clerk there, was sued for making believe she wasn't sued, for running away like a fugitive, and lying that the paper that I was filing in that court was an appeal, a paper to be processed in the court. It was not. It was my motion for default judgment against her in my lawsuit against her as a defendant. It was to her and personally to her. And so this is about the 7th letter. This is only 12 days before Memorial Day, when they gave their lives for a good country. Kathy Caddison, you know fully well you have been sued. Does the caption page say Ninth Circuit? Here's the caption page. Does it say Ninth Circuit? No. It says United States District Court, Eastern District of Wisconsin. That's Milwaukee. Does it say U.S. Court of Appeals, the Ninth Circuit? No. It does not. So don't you see, Kathy, this paper is not being filed in your court. Can't you read? The paper is to you, Kathy, a defendant. You have been sued. You have been sued again for what you just did last week, and you'll be sued next month. You lied, Kathy. You violated Criminal Code 18 U.S. Code Section 1001. You will be sued again under RICO, Racketeer Influence Crime Organization, Title 18 U.S. Code 1941. Just as clear as anything. It lists the court, it lists the action, it lists the index number, and it lists default judgment. And look what this little clerk wrote and sent it back to get rid of it. Please provide the appeal number. Now, is that stupid? Yes, it is. Is that dishonest? Yes, it is. Is that criminal? Yes, it is. Here's this great case.
I'm in love with a darling named Glendora. She works in the window of a big department store. Eyes of blue, hair like gold, very young, but she never get old. Oh, Glendora, I want to see more of you. Oh, Glendora, oh, Glendora, oh, Glendora, I want to see more of you.
In the Southern District of New York and in the Evil District of New York, Heinemann, Vega, and Carol Allman, and then a bunch of other judges in a bunch of other district courts and courts of appeals across the United States, all of who cheated you, cheated America. And this guy, Clevert, in the Milwaukee District Court, United States District Court, cheated. And all of these people who were sued should be fined and locked up and stop hurting America. And so it's comes the problem of appealing what Clevert did. And so I sent him $105. And guess what? It's $105 in this circuit, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But out there in Chicago, they want you to pay $255. Now listen. So, Glendora says, notice of motion and affirmation in support for Rule 60B, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, relief from the judgment, or return my $150, or keep the appeals fee at $105, where our circuits have it, or enlarge the appeal time to give Glendora time to save up for another rip-off $150, or grant Title 28 U.S. Code Section 1915 IFP, or ask the 7th Circuit to grant IFP, informer paupers. Proceed without payment of fees. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora asseverates she has told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and always has, and defendants never have. So help her God, Glendora. 5/21/4 Anno Domini. Return date is 5/28. That's a week from tomorrow. And it's Memorial Day Friday. Memorial Day weekend Friday. I scraped and clawed and grubbled to shave off $105 to appeal the damage you did, but just where do you think I can find $255 minus $105, another $150 to pay your inflated fee? How come we don't have a unified federal court system? The fee in the 7th Circuit is $255. It's $105 in the 1st Circuit, 2nd Circuit, 3rd Circuit, 4th Circuit, 5th Circuit. Is the justice in the 7th Circuit $150 better? No, it is not. So Glendora is asking you to pay the rip-off inflated $150. You, the judge, you pay it. Even as corrupt as is the Empire State, Saul Wackler, Chief Judge, knew enough to build the New York State Unified Court System, and he did, just before he was arrested by the FBI, tried, convicted, and incarcerated in federal prison. We need a federal unified court system. You people take off in a myriad of tangents. It is all in keeping with your recalcitrant to follow the Constitution, the United States Code, the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. We pro se's follow them, but you don't. The $150 should come from you. Glendora paid $150 to get justice, and you ruined that. You did not do your job. And Glendora wants her $150 back. Consumer fraud. If you had done your duty as an American, I would not have to appeal. Take a look at where the $2,260 went this month. And here's an account of what it was spent for the date and how it was subtracted. And then you get over here and already it's down to $1,665. And you get over here and today it's $445 to do for the end of the month. Why is there so much month left over at the end of the money? Okay, now the assets. What do we got? A 1980 Lincoln, it's worth nothing. A 1993 Lincoln, what do I know it's worth? Clothes, nothing. Household, nothing. Storage trailer, I don't know. TV equipment for a TV show, I don't know what it's worth. Copy machine, zero probably. Gasoline in New York State, around Albany, is $2.17 a gallon. Thank you, George Bush, for all the wars you promised would bring down the gasoline prices. So, relief requested is A, Rule 60B, relief from judgment to stop the 30-day appeals clock, or B, return my $150 U.S. District Court filing fee, consumer fraud, or 28 U.S. Code Section 1915 in former paupers, $150 for the rest of the fee. I put in the East Coast fee $105, or enlarge the time to file an appeal and give me time to save up another $150 just to be wasted on you people who betray us. Glendora speculates pretty soon you are not going to get customers. You just are not worth the money you are charging. The business of the courts, Title 28 U.S. Code 372, is going out of business. You will have to look for a job. People are going to catch on to you as a scam. And they're not going to want to do business with you anymore. Yours in Truth, Glendora. Chat with Glendora on 42 TV stations. Milwaukee should be next. And so forth. Going to United States District Courts is an undertaking in which hazards are to be met and the issue hangs upon unforeseen events. Bah. Boo on the courts. At 3 p.m. and at 3 every quarter hour we rejoice. What do we rejoice about? Summer, leaves on the trees, beautiful grass, birdies hopping around and singing all the time. The fact that we're doing something about these rotten courts and letting them know that we know they're rotten. Did I say in there anywhere that people who make $150,000, they make $140,000 a year? They have a hard time seeing what we're talking about here, right? But we rejoice. And even if it is unforeseen, and even as it is hazardous, what difference does it make? We're together, we're one, and we're here to do whatever comes along. This is the file on Omnibus 20. What a great lawsuit it is, was, and always will be, and they can never stop that. God be with you till we meet again. Keep love's banner floating o'er you. Put his loving arms around you. God be with you till we meet again. Deborah Eacock in Garrison, the town of Phillipstown, is that she willfully, cheerfully, and helpfully and belovingly signed my paper to have my program on TV in the peak skill system. And she stood behind me for like a year and a half, and everything was fine. And then came crazy Cablevision upsetting renewals. And Cecilia did her dirty work, Cecilia Mastroelli from Peekskill. And she called up Deborah Eacock, and she got her all scared, and this is extortion, and so Deborah wouldn't sign. Well, Glendora talked to Deborah at length, and told Deborah she was a coward to back out, to buckle to Cablevision. And so I tried to sue Deborah Eacock in the Harrison court, but Garrison is in Putnam County, not Westchester. And so I asked for the papers, and this is Glendora Plaintiff versus Charles F. Dolan, Cablevision Systems Corporation, Cecilia Mastroelli, and Deborah Eacock, defendants. The movement is Glendora, and this is an application to the court by Glendora to waive in personam requirement to file. The movement is Glendora. The return date is June the 1st, 2004. The location is 238 Main Street, Cold Spring, New York, 10516. The relief requested is stated in the title. Grounds are Glendora files cases all over the United States by mail with no in personam mandate. Glendora lives in Columbia County, 30 miles south of Albany, and the distance to Phillipstown is a hardship. Further, since the court does not convene until 4:30 p.m. circa, night driving is another hardship. And further, gasoline is $2.17 per gallon. Glendora asked Rye City Court to let her file by mail. They did. Further, Glendora asked Harrison Town Court to file by mail, and they did. Could the clerk please state her statutory authority for infra cannot process a small claims by mail. You must appear. Currently by mail, Glendora is in the following United States District Courts and Courts of Appeals: Milwaukee, San Francisco, Omaha, Chicago, District of Columbia, and inter alia. Defendants have been served a true copy of this application. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora asseverates she has told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help her God. Okay. Harry went to the doctor, and the doctor says, you mustn't mow the lawn. You're a middle-aged man. You could have a heart attack. And so Harry went home. And he said, son, will you please mow the lawn? His son says, yes, Dad, I'll start immediately. They gave Harry a heart attack. Folks, we sent a donation to Animal Haven in Queens. Can you do that? Animal Haven in Queens to help the doggies. And now we're sending a donation to Tenants and Neighbors. tenants and neighbors fights for tenants. And so they're trying to stop Bloomberg from raising the rent guidelines to 3 to 5% a year. Now you don't want that. So we sent them some money. Can you send them some money? Tenants and neighbors, 105 Washington Street, NY 10006. Can you? I think we sent them something last week too, didn't we? Okay. Folks, isn't that a beautiful birthday card? It's from Pastor Robert Weiser and his wife Betty and all of the nice people at the Beekman Baptist Church. Wasn't that sweet of them? And the verse is so nice. So I wrote them a nice letter and sent them a little tiny check. I found out what works on mosquitoes. I went out just for a second to put the cover on the 1993 Lincoln, and my neighbor came and we talked. So I got about 10 bites, and they were itching, very irritating and getting all scraped and infected. So I put hydrogen peroxide on them. It stopped the itch immediately, and it took down the swelling. Now why is that? Hydrogen peroxide. I forgot to videotape for you this morning the George C. Dixon appeal number 2 on notice of appeal. First attachment is printed, collated, and stapled. 19 sets, 36 pages. And then I forgot to show you today that Nasty Natalia, the complaint in the United States District Court, Chicago, 220 pages, 3 sets, to be the last attachment to the notice of appeal, was collated today. Pages, 220 pages. We did 151 to 220 today. And the 3 sets are banded and ready to be bound. That's done. Here's the third and last legal paper for this day. After that, we will be free of legal papers. City Court of Rye, State of New York, County, Westchester, Glendora plaintiff against Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision defendants. Small claims, year 2002, case number 146, writes Peter Lane. Plaintiff applies herein for leave to proceed in form of pauperous. She seeks to have the court's taped record of the trial of the within manner transcribed at public expense. Plaintiff's application is quite specific as to her cash flow and disbursement for selected periods of the current year. However, totally missing therefrom is any statement as to, among other things, her assets, liquid or otherwise. Accordingly, the court must deny her application. Application denied, dated Rye, New York, May 13, 2004. Entered Mary Jo Garrity, civil clerk. All right, what do you think of that? What do you think of Peter Lane? Well, it's taken me 2.5 hours to see if we could do something about this, folks. And here it is. It's the same caption, and it's May 22nd, and it's 9 days before Memorial Day. Application to the court to reconsider. Denial of courts paying for minutes on the basis of no assets listed. Glendora lists assets herein. Glendora's assets are liquid. Everything has gone down the drain. Article, value. A 1980 Lincoln, 284,000 miles, value 0. 1993 Lincoln, 120,000 miles, value, I don't know. Clothes, 1980 clothes, 0. Household, 1956 household. Actually, that's 54, Glendora. You forgot the year you were married. Interest, checking account. Miserable Alan Green is 21 cents a month. That's what the interest is on the checking account, 21 cents a month. Miserable Alan Greenspan. How come the green doesn't span what it used to? All stocks, including Cablevision, were liquidated because of John P. de Blasi, whom Glendora scraped off the bench and reduced to a lowly lolly. Cablevision stocks, all other stocks, 0. A Canon PC 485 desk copier, 1.75 years old, worn by an estimated 23,000 copies of legal papers. Let's go see this hero. You want to see a hero? Here's a real hero. A real hero. VCRs. A monitor. A TV camera, which is, take a picture of itself. 1994 to 2002. And electronics devaluate 80% a year. Question mark. 43-foot tractor trailer for storage. Question mark. Gasoline is $2.70 a gallon. None of these assets listed above is dispensable. Glendora is not in forma pauperis in a strict sense. She paid the filing fee of $30. Okay, let's go on to page 3. This is going to be done within the half hour before lunchtime. But no way can she pay for the minutes. Is there any way to appeal without the minutes? If there is no way around this cost of minutes, then Glendora cannot appeal. This is an abominable denial of due process, and this is actionable. You, this court, and the appellate court will be sued in federal court under color of state, that is, state actors, under Title 42 United States Code, Section 1983, Civil Rights, and Section 1985, Conspiracy. As Glendora has written in her court papers, justice is a luxury. Justice is a luxury. No more graphic a circumstance illustrates the same than the instant situation. Reserved. Dated May 20th, 2004, Anno Domini. Yours in truth and in amor patriae, Glendora. And here's Franklin Buell, Memorial Day. We ought to send him the original. It's in red, white, and blue. I guess we will. That's it. Thank you very much for the 2 audio tapes. I have a hymn every 15 minutes, as you know. We try to rejoice about something, and this is the perfect hymn for it. But it's also a perfect hymn for this weather that we've been having. Okay, are you ready? Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, Lord of love. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, opening to the sun above. Melt the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the dark of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day.
Father, thank you for the joy of giving. We can't match your generosity, but we can try. So this morning we bring to you a source of our happiness, our gifts to you. Bless them, we pray in Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. You may be seated.
Yep. I wondered what you were doing, so I keep doing that. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Justice so-called Village Court Chatham and his wife, the clerk of the court, trying to rip Glendora off for $2,000. It's the biggest scam you ever saw. Of course, he's going to get a third of it upon information and belief. And here are copies of this second notice of appeal of George Dixon.
I'm in love with a darling named Glendora. She works in the window of a big department store. Eyes of blue, hair like gold, and red young, but she never get old. Oh, Glendora, I want to see more of you. Oh, Glendora, oh, Glendora, oh, Glendora, I want to see more of you. She's so
Here it is, folks. This is George C. Dixon, Justice so-called Village Court Chatham, and his wife, the clerk of the court, trying to rip Glendora off for $2,000. It's the biggest scam you ever saw. Of course, he's going to get a third of it upon information and belief. And here are copies of this second notice of appeal of George Dixon. And here is the copy that's going to the county court with the Court of Appeals for the village and town courts, and this is going to the clerk of the court. That would be George Dixon's wife at Chatham Village, 77 Main Street, Chatham. This is a notice of motion that Dixon specify. He just puts down an amount. He doesn't say what it's for. He doesn't itemize. His whole paper is fatally defective, and I have to read it to you right now. Tomorrow this will have to be bound into 2 books, one to go to Dixon and one to go to the county court. And here is the great paper. Started just after Mother's Day. Village Court, Village of Chatham, County of Columbia, State of New York, United States of America. Preferred country properties versus Glendora. Don't ever go near that place. We have to find the $5 filing fee. Notice of appeal with attachments. Notice to the clerk. Make certain these attachments go to the county court with the notice of appeal. And please take notice that Glendora appeals to the Columbia County Court the notice of civil judgment by George C. Dixon, Village Court, Village of Chatham. Dixon's paper is dated May 4th, 2004. Glendora appeals the same in its entirety. May 11th, 2004, Anno Domini, State of New York, yours in truth, in an Amor Patria, Glendora, a chat with Glendora on 42 TV stations, including Albany. And here is Dixon's paper. Now, can you imagine? You know, I've told you how crooked he is, pages after page after page. And look what he writes finally. Please take notice that after hearing the proof and what's that say, folks? After hearing the proof and the facts between the parties and deliberating thereon, the court decision is judgment for damages in favor of the plaintiff for the amount of $1,995.39 and $1,999.39 against the above defendant Glendora, dated May 4th, George C. Dixon. Alpha. Petitioners never gave the village court jurisdiction over Glendora. This was a summary proceeding and had to follow the New York State Real Property Actions and Proceedings Law and the New York State Real Property Law. It did not. These laws must be strictly construed. This is attachment 1 that I'm reading you. They were not strictly construed. Glendora was never known, has never known a lawyer or a judge to get them straight yet, excepting Judith Studebaker, Westchester Putnam Legal Services, who defends indigent tenants against avaricious landlords like this one herein, and conniving judges like this one herein. There was no in personam service on Glendora, and there has to be. McDowell never saw Glendora. She was inside watching him. He was outside. She never went to the door. There was no nail and mail. McDowell did not affix the petition to the door. He rolled it and pushed it through the door latch. There was no service by regular mail, and there has to be. Isn't it nice out here, folks? There was no service by regular mail, and there has to be. Glendora won a case against a White Plains landlord in the appellate term for the 9th and 10th Judicial Districts, Supreme Court, County of Westchester, State of New York, on that point and that point alone. No service by regular mail. Very often lawyers lose on that one. There was no diligent substitute service. McDowell never came back. McDowell never attempted service in personam. So these blatant violations of the New York State Real Property Actions and Proceedings Law fail to give the Village Court of Chatham jurisdiction over Glendora. Glendora told Dixon this 6 times. He failed judicially. He repetitively eschewed the law. Liar for hire James Kleinbaum kept claiming, "Here's Mike McDowell's affidavit of personal service." Glendora countered, "There was no personal service, and if you want to claim that there is, I demand a Travis hearing." George Dixon went deaf, dumb, and blind. He refused to take judicial notice. He did so not only once, but 6 times. George Dixon did not have, and does not have to this day, jurisdiction over Glendora. Michael McDowell is a Village of Chatham police officer. It is illegal for police officers to do process serving. Beta. The petition to vacate in 3 days was fatally defective. Indeed, it had no case number. Indeed, it had never been filed with a court. When Dixon, his wife, the clerk, Nasty Natalia, Preferred Country Properties, and Liar for Hire Kleinbaum were asked to produce a $20 filing fee receipt, they could not. Glendora asked them all the night of April the 13th as we sat around Dixon's table. Oh, excuse me, that's Dixon's bench. That's my bench. Not one of them could produce a receipt that the filing fee had been paid. Petitioners, quote-unquote, had no standing in the Village Court of Chatham. Glendora could not move that it be stricken. It was never filed. Dixon should have known enough in the vernacular to have scrubbed it. Gamma. Regardez-vous Dixon's notice of a civil judgment. Does it itemize what the 1955-39 is for? Does it list the addends? No, it does not. No. How does Glendora know what the items are and what dollar amount goes with each item? Super comes down to simple procedure. Glendora does not understand the charges. And when a defendant does not understand the charges, then the defendant summarily wins on appeal. Delta. Dixon titles his paper Notice of Civil Judgment. Nay, Dixon has to write an order first. Then he has to write a judgment, or his wife, the clerk, has to. A notice is not appealable. Glendora has to have an appealable order. Indeed, it is a nullity. It must be stricken, it must be quashed. However, in case his law is adumbrated, Glendora goes through the hoops of appealing. Epsilon. Glendora is not appealing for a remand. She is appealing for a vacatur. Zeta. Even if Dixon had jurisdiction, and he does not, and even if Dixon had written a viable paper of May 4th, and he did not, the entire proceeding must be vacated because Dixon refused to file Glendora's answer, Glendora's defense. Attachment 2 to this notice of appeal is Glendora's 110-page answer and defense that Dixon refused to file and refused to read. Instead, he chose to chit-chat with lawyer friends trying to win his influence before court opened. These 110 pages allowed unequivocally petitioners had failed. These 110 pages adduced unequivocally that petitioners had failed to give Dixon jurisdiction over Glendora. Further, they proved that the petition was fatally defective. See Beta on page 6 super. Glendora has a First Amendment right to petition her government for redress of wrong. Dixon violated that right by not filing, reading, and intercepting Glendora's 110-page complaint, answer, and defense. On March the 30th, he refused to file, read, and intercept Glendora's 40-page opening statement. The minimum a court has to give a litigant is an opening statement. On April the 13th, Dixon refused to file, read, and intercept Glendora's 20-page ad dominum. This is more than enough to vacate Dixon's paper of May 4th, 2004. But there is more. Now we're up to page 11. I have 3 jokes to tell you. Harry went to the doctor, and the doctor says, "You mustn't mow the lawn. You're a middle-aged man, and you'll have a heart attack." So Harry went home, and he said, "Son, will you please mow the lawn?" And his son said, "Yes, Dad." I'll start immediately. I gave Harry a heart attack. There was an earthquake coming, and Bob and Joan were afraid that their son might get hurt. So they sent him inland to an uncle for a few days until the earthquake was over. But the next day, they got a telegram from the uncle, and he said, "I'm returning the boy. Send the earthquake." What was the third joke? I can't remember. Okie doke. The boy brought home his report card from school, and it was all A's, and his father said, "He must get his intelligence from me," and his mother said, "He must. I still have mine." Theta. On March the 29th, Monday, Glendora served on the nasty Natalia conclave Glendora's opening statement for March the 30th, Tuesday. She also served a copy on Natalia conclave liar for hire at Kleinbaum. There was no way to serve it on the court. The court is closed all week, except Tuesday at 6:45 p.m. And then you try to see them Tuesday at 6:45 p.m. and they're too busy. Great court. Glendora got to court early 6 p.m. to try to serve the opening statement on the court. She asked Dixon if she could see the clerk. She's busy now, Dixon told her. She told the police officer that she wanted the papers served now, and she told him also she wanted other papers served previously, filed and date stamped. And the police officer said, "You can do it when you go up," meaning when the so-called hearing was called. Now this was McDowell again. Glendora tried 6 times that evening to file her papers, and the court failed 6 times to accomplish it. Now this is dysfunctionalism. When finally the hearing started, Glendora got to see the clerk, Dixon's wife Joanne, for the first time. She concentrated on filing her papers and getting them date stamped, and she was focusing on this, since she couldn't file them any other time, and she tried so hard to do it. Kleinbaum and Dixon were doing ex parte about an adjournment to April the 13th, the date of Glendora's case, and Glendora versus Nasty Natalia is the name of that case. Glendora did not want an adjournment, but she did not get her chance to oppose it. Kleinbaum failed procedure by not making a formal motion, not telling Glendora, and by not hearing her answer to the same. Dixon did the same and okayed the adjournment and wrote it down on the April 13th calendar. Again, this was all transpiring while Glendora was occupied with filing her papers and getting them date stamped, because nobody would file them all day long, all evening long, and all day before long. Neanderthal, Kleinbaum, and Dixon should have had the grace and the courtroom training to abide and eschew the railroading. Dixon said he would not accept Glendora's opening statement. He shoved it toward her. This alone is enough to disqualify everything he did on these 2 cases. The first track was getting the papers filed and date stamped simultaneously. On the second track, Kleinbaum was coaching Dixon to get a statement from Glendora that she had vacated. Still concentrating on getting the papers filed with date stamped, Glendora was in another thought area when Dixon looked up at her and said, "Did you vacate?" It was not fair to be forced by this court into doing 2 important things at the same time. Glendora looked at Dixon in the eye and she said, "Did I vacate?" And Dixon quickly went into theatrics. He put his head down and he wagged it left to the right, massaging his forehead with a pen between his 2 fingers. Now, what need was there, folks, for that? Tell me, what need was there? Glendora said, "Yes, I vacated." This is a segue into the next reason Dixon's May 4th paper must be vacated. But before going to the next point, reader, note that viewer, note that Glendora had been falsely summoned to court on a hoax twice. First was March the 23rd, second was March the 30th. Dixon had no jurisdiction. The petition was fatally defective. This sham calling to court is actionable. Nasty Natalia, Kleinbaum, the Dixons, and the village have all been sued for this in the United States District Court, Chicago, under Title 47, and it should be 42, U.S. Code Section 1983, Civil Rights, and Section 1985, Conspiracy. Further, what they have done is against Criminal Code 18, U.S. Code Section 1001, false statements. 18 U.S. Code Section 1941, Racketeer Influence Crime Organization, RICO, is further invoked. Glendora brought this legal proceeding to demand and enforce her rights in a court of law. Also note that the village court calendar is not publicly posted. Iota, and we're on page 15. The next count is the judicial misconduct and disability of George C. Dixon. Even if this court had jurisdiction, even if Dixon had written a paper May 4th that was not a nullity, even if Dixon had itemized the addends and given grounds for each, even if Dixon had filed Glendora's answers and defense, even if Glendora had been legally summoned instead of falsely summoned to court, Dixon's paper of May 4th is to be vacated on grounds of judicial misconduct and disability. Pages 165 to 220 of the last attachment herein tell the story. Res ipsa loquitur. Things speak for themselves. Article 13 New York Statutes pellucidly states that Canon 3A, a judge must be courteous and patient to litigants. Dixon was rankly discourteous and impatient. Dixon is sharp, bitter, pungent, irritating, corrosive, abrasive, of caustic temper, biting, acrid, tart, astringent, aberdant, stinging, aculeate, and harsh. George C. Dixon is fraught with asperity, tartness, acerbity, acrimony, sharpness, and bitterness of temper, and language, irritability, and resentfulness of disposition, quick to display itself in words and utterances of sour and embittered taste, and he's set on edge. See pages 165 at Sequitur, last attachment. Super disqualifies Dixon's May 4th paper, and paragraph 68 on page 17 is reserved. Kappa. No personal knowledge. Glendora does not have to pay $183 to repair the landlord's furnace. Glendora does not have to pay $26 to repair the landlord's kitchen sink. When landlord Nasty Natalia takes 9 days to replace a kitchen sink washer, Glendora cannot wait 9 days to get heat at 35 degrees. One night almost resulted in hypothermia. Nor can she wait 9 days to fix a sink drain, filling a bale pail to the brim in 30 seconds. Glendora does not have to pay $600 for external doors that she never damaged, when the landlord has no before and after proof of damage, and when George Dixon has no personal knowledge of the same. When landlord presents an estimate of the same that is unsigned and undated and unnotarized, and does not produce the estimator in court to be cross-examined by Glendora. Page 19. The subject apartment is across the street from the court and 2 driveways down the hill. Dixon could easily waddle there and see for himself. He does not have to rely on bad photographs and hearsay. Indeed, hearsay within hearsay, federal rules of evidence. Glendora does not have to pay for holes in the scrim that were there before she was, and covered up by a rickety railing attached to a peripatetic stairs that wobbled with every footstep, which could easily be intercepted by Dixon on a visit to the subject premises. Glendora does not have to pay $181 for a cleanup of cat feces Natalia did not see deposited, for debris Natalia let pile up for years before Glendora took possession, and for cats that were not Glendora's cats, for debris of which he had no photos, for which he had no before and after, and for which he had no witnesses. Oh yes, and how do you prove odor? How do you prove odor to a court? Dixon does not know do from did. See page 189 at Secretary. Glendora had no contractual relation with Nasty Natalia. Natalia never gave Glendora a copy of the lease, and I never saw a signed copy of the lease. Glendora signed the lease, but Natalia never did, and it takes two to make a contract. Even had there been a lease and a contract, Nasty Natalia broke it when she came up with a notice for a 3-day eviction. Yes, she came up with an odious, retaliatory 3-day eviction. New York State real property law forbids landlords to retaliate against tenants. Natalia has a disqualified certificate of occupancy. Therefore, wherefore, and ergo, Glendora does not owe Natalia $435 rent for April, May, and June. She's a terrible person. I pray for her, and she have a complete turnaround. This is no way to spend a God-given life. A little boy and his friend are riding down the escalator, and the little boy says, "What happens when the basement gets full of steps?" John said to his friend that my uncle and aunt just bought an apartment and it's called a pandemonium. And Phil said he and his wife named their first son after his father. They named him Pop. The nursery school teacher told the children as they went out for a walk, "Well, children, there's something we all can be thankful for. At least we are all free." And a little boy says, "I am not free. I am poor." Three teenagers asked their parents what their parents would like on their 20th anniversary. And guess what the parents said? Our own telephone. So let's go on page 21 out of 36. Enclosed, indeed, Natalia owes Glendora $15 for March 29th that she gave Natalia, $15 for March 30th, and $15 for March 31st. Glendora vacated March the 28th, Sunday, circa 7 p.m. Natalia never told Glendora during negotiations for 2 weeks, June 2003, that Natalia ordained that Glendora should pay heat. This was fraud. Natalia owes Glendora $500 that Glendora paid for heat. In 49 years of conjugal joy, Franklin and Glendora would never rent without heat and hot water. More fraud was Natalia's never telling us that we had to pay for water. Folks, who ever heard of paying for water in an apartment? Did she want us to pay land taxes and school taxes too? So we do not owe her $140 for water. Had she been honest when she told us water, heat, stove, gas, we would have said thank you, but no. Everything Natalia presented was hearsay and was without evidence or witnesses. Natalia owes Glendora $435 security deposit plus 9% statutory interest. Natalia must be prosecuted for commingling the security deposit instead of depositing it in escrow and informing Glendora of the bank account number and paying the interest. January 2004. She violated the New York State General Obligations Law. Dixon listened much more attentively to Natalia and Kleinbaum than he did to Glendora. You know, it isn't just hate, okay? And it isn't just that his inferiority complex overpowered him. It isn't just that. He's getting a piece of this action. He's getting a third of this $2,000 on information and belief. Go down there, little ant, before you get hurt. Dixon had a judicial duty to guard pro se Glendora against any encroachment of her due process, but he failed. And by the Code of Professional Conduct, Kleinbaum had the same, and he failed. Pro se leniency was not their adjunct, but Kleinbaum led Dixon like a child throughout the whole proceedings, if you could call him that. Lambda. Dixon and Kleinbaum should never have railroaded Glendora into 2 hearings back-to-back the same night. It was debilitating. That adjournment was a hoax, and Glendora was never given a hearing on it. Indeed, on most issues. We're up to M. Moo. Glendora objects to the connubial husband-judge-wife clerk relationship. Add to this that the chief of police is the brother of the mayor. Kevin Bohm is the brother of the mayor. This should cease and desist. Glendora is writing a motion and a notice of motion that Dixon lists the addends and his grounds for each. His notice is not adequate. It does not meet the requirements to accomplish justice. Even if this so-called court did have jurisdiction, the Section 19, the sum of 1995 charge is preposterous. Patently, they are a staged ripoff. Patently, they are a setup, where Kleinbaum gets a third, Dixon gets a third, and Natalia gets the remnant. This is on information and belief. Maybe even this court, meaning the county court, which is the appeals court for the village court, will be offered a piece. Omicron. Twice Dixon tried to persuade Glendora to take a legal counsel. Do you want to know why, folks? Well, it is because any counsel is under the control of the court. Otherwise, a legal counsel does not get another assignment. So this was so injurious in one case, the public defender having double-crossed her defendant so severely that the public defender went to work for the Peace Corps in Africa for a year as a penance. At this point, Dixon needs legal counsel. Pi. Pi r square, the teacher intoned. No, the little girl says. Pi are round. Glendora demanded a jury trial. Cover page, second attachment. Glendora's March the 23rd answer defense of 110 pages. Dixon ignored it. This violates the federal Constitution and Article 1, New York State Constitution, the Bill of Rights, together with the civil practice laws and rules and the state analog to the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 38, jury trial to be held inviolate. This is one claim against Dixon out of multiple in the United States District Court, Chicago, 42 U.S. Code, Section 1983, Civil Rights, and Section 1985, Conspiracy. To say nothing of Criminal Code 18 U.S. Code, Section 1001, misrepresentation, and 18 U.S. Code, Section 1941, RICO, Racketeer Influence Crime Organization. Civil rights cases can be brought in any federal court in the United States. Row your boat. Glendora was falsely called to court 3 times. It was a triple hoax. This is actionable Dixon's, Kleinbaum, Nasty Natalia, Conclave, and the village. Sigma. Nepotism of wife of judge is clerk of the court is forbidden and actionable, as is Mayor Bohm's brother, Kevin, being chief of police. How long have these machinations been going on in Chatham? This is a great call. Owners but an owner. It's always been like that, said neighbor, who was born, schooled, married, and is a resident to this day, all her 40 years in Chatham. Yes, this is a great call. Take this cup. No, your will, not mine. Rejoice. The dagger turns. Ooh, does that hurt? Bear it. The nemesis nears. Think of the horrors on their way to these people. Think what's coming to them for what they have done. Just think of it. I wish we could stop them. Opposing this scam is a privilege. I have more than one life to live for my country. Tau. Glendora was not heard. Glendora could demand a rehearing, but not before Dixon. Not before inept Dixon. Page 28. Dixon exemplifies one of the worst evils afflicting America today, incapacitating the people's courts, scheming to defeat justice, self-interest dominating the public interest, selfishness chewing up patriotism.
I'm in love with a darling named Glendora. She works in the window of a big department store. Eyes of blue, hair like gold, very young, but she never get old. Oh, Glendora, I want to see more of you. Oh, Glendora, oh, Glendora, oh, Glendora, I want to see more of you. She's so shy that I don't know.
At this point, Dixon needs legal counsel. Pi. Pi are square, the teacher intoned. No, the little girl says. Pi are round. Glendora demanded a jury trial. Cover page, second attachment. Glendora's March the 23rd answer defense of 110 pages. Dixon ignored it. This violates the federal Constitution and Article 1, New York State Constitution, the Bill of Rights, together with the civil practice laws and rules and the state analog to the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 38, jury trial to be held inviolate. This is one claim against Dixon out of multiple in the United States District Court, Chicago, 42 U.S. Code, Section 1983, Civil Rights, and Section 1985, conspiracy. To say nothing of Criminal Code 18 U.S. Code, Section 1001, misrepresentation, and 18 U.S. Code, Section 1941, RICO, racketeer influence crime organization. Civil rights cases can be brought in any federal court in the United States. Row, 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 row your boat. Glendora was falsely called to court 3 times. It was a triple hoax. This is actionable Dixon's Kleinbaum, Nasty Natalia, Conclave, and the Village. Sigma. Nepotism of wife of judge is clerk of the court is forbidden and actionable, as is Mayor Boehm's brother, Kevin, being chief of police. How long have these machinations been going on in Chatham? This is a great call. Owners but an owner. It's always been like that, said neighbor, who was born, schooled, married, and is a resident to this day, all her 40 years in Chatham. Yes, this is a great call. Take this cup. No, your will, not mine. Rejoice. The dagger turns. Ooh, does that hurt? Bear it. The nemesis nears. Think of the horrors on their way to these people. Think what's coming to them for what they have done. Just think of it. I wish we could stop them. Opposing this scam is a privilege. I have more than one life to live for my country. Tau. Glendora was not heard. Glendora could demand a rehearing, but not before Dixon. Not before inept Dixon. Page 28. Dixon exemplifies one of the worst evils afflicting America today, incapacitating the people's courts, scheming to defeat justice, self-interest dominating the public interest, selfishness chewing up patriotism. Who makes the poor souls homeless, existing on the streets, 400 for lunch, 200 sleeping at night, in the Albany mission? Who? The perpetrators are the abhorrent rings of nasty landlords like Natalia, avaricious lawyers like Kleinbaum, and conniving judges like Dixon. Ignorant, incompetent, inadequate like Dixon have destroyed justice in the village of Chatham. Chatham is the village without America. Chatham, New York, County of Columbia, 30 miles south of Albany, State of New York. Chatham Village is without America. This is the court, says skillful management, dexterity, adroitness, unsound, muddled, confused, empty, rotten, addled. This is the court without justice. Upsilon. Remember, if Glendora pays the rent, $435 for April, May, and June, Nasty Natalia cannot rent it. She cannot rent the premises, and she cannot rent to two signers the same piece of property simultaneously. So Glendora gets the rent from the present tenants who moved in a few weeks ago, and Glendora can evict the said tenants, or Natalia will have to evict them. Fee. Glendora wants this court's protection, and I'm talking about the county court, permanent order of protection to picket Dixon outside the Chatham Town Hall, bully judge, and to picket Natalia outside her office, nasty landlord. Kai. Glendora wants Kleinbaum to pay the taxpayers for the copies that he has made using the public's copy machine in the village court of Chatham. Psi. Glendora draws this court's attention to ambush. Natalia, Conclave, and Kleinbaum had ample time to submit a bill of particulars before March the 30th, their court date. Yes, even before Glendora's court date, April the 13th, which they stole, and to itemize their litany of fraudulent claims so that Glendora could be prepared. Dixon should have guarded her right. Omega. Glendora objects to the group oath. This is bizarre and disqualifies the court proceeding April the 13th, even if Dixon had jurisdiction, and he does not. Now we're back to Alpha Alpha. Next page delineates the fraud that the nasty Natalia enterprise committed that absolves Glendora from all Natalia claims. Let me just read you a little bit of this. And you got, for your own protection, please hold on to this in your mind. Fraud, an intentional perversion of truth for the purpose of inducing another and depriving the other with some valuable thing belonging to him, or to surrender a legal right, a false representation of a matter of fact, whether by words or by conduct, by false or misleading allegations, or on concealment of that which should have been disclosed. This is Natalia through and through, which deceives and is intending to deceive another so that he shall act upon it to his legal injury. That's what fraud is, and that's what she did over and over again, and she did every one of these paragraphs. This is Nasty Natalia, Preferred Country Properties, Chatham, New York. And Beta Beta, Glendora's notice of motion and affirmation in support to specify, expatriate each addend and give grounds is attached here too. Gamma Gamma, Dixon's failure to read and file Glendora's legal papers abrogates any claim of a hearing. Glendora was not heard. Delta Delta. By no enrichment, embellishment, nor adornment can this chronology, March the 23rd, March the 30th, and April the 13th, be called an adjudication. Dixon did not adjudge, determine, nor pronounce judicially. He failed every step of the way. Glendora wants justice in another forum. She does not want to return to Dixon. From the Chatham Methodist Church, where Dixon's mother-in-law and aunt-in-law and Glendora are members, comes the following. And it says, Teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes. Teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes. Paragraph 130 is reserved. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora asseverates that she has told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and always has, to help her God. Natalia has not. It's dated May the 19th, 2004, 12 days before Memorial Day, honoring our dead. When things like this happen, our dead died in vain. Yours in truth and in amor patriae, Glendora, Chatwin, Glendora on 42 TV stations, including Chatham, Albany, and Washington, D.C. Without prejudice, Uniform Commercial Code, Section 207. Volume 1, Section 207. Glendora Service List. View. Glendora TV audience. Most important. The Center for Judicial Accountability Incorporated. The Dixons, Chatham Village Court. The Village of Chatham. Nasty Natalia, Brat Sister Lydia, Marie Mother, Father, Brother Carlos, and Preferred Country Properties. Chief County Clerk Dorothy Press. Judge Nichols, Columbia County Court. Courtesy copy. McDermott, DeCroce, Zabby, Richardson, Neighbor. Administrative Judge Sarisi, the 3rd Judicial District. Judith Kay, the Chief Judge of the State of New York, the Commission on Judicial Conduct. Administrative Judge, New York State Courts, Jonathan Littman. And same to the Administrative Judge, Deputy Joseph Trafficante, and of course, who to sue. 19 sets. And unlike Kleinbaum, Glendora will pay for her own copies. It says that this paper took $55.02, and it took 19 hours. Well, that's it. It's read. Now, tomorrow, the plan is to serve it. Every morning, I do devotions. And I use the devotional called Our Daily Bread. And they asked us this morning to read John 17:20-26. And the opening paragraph and their discussion of this is something that you're going to enjoy. A Sunday school teacher asked some 5-year-olds a series of questions to help them realize that trusting in Jesus is the only way to get to heaven. The Sunday school teacher asked, if I sell everything I have and give the money to the church, would that get me into heaven? No, the kids answered. Well, how about if I keep everything clean in and around the church? No, the kids answered. Well, if I love my family and I'm kind to animals and give candy to every child I meet, will that get me into heaven? And the kids answered, no. Then he asked, well, what will get me into heaven? And a little boy shouted, you have to be dead. I'll sing you a hymn, if I can remember the words. Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, God of love. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, opening to the sun above. Melt the cloud of sin and sadness, drive the dark of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day. And it's certainly true all around here, isn't it? Thank you, Nasty Natalia. Affirmation of service. What you have read here was read on TV in its entirety. That was just to you folks just now. And the total hours on Nasty Natalia so far are 206 hours. We'll make it 207. And the totals spent on her are $612. And this is Opus 1114. Now, this is from the Chatham Methodist Church, and it says, our own Mary Every has been honored by being welcome to throw out the first pitch at the Chatham League opener. She has attended the games to support our young people for many years. And Mary Every is the mother-in-law of George Dixon. Joanne Dixon is... That's where we had our bonfire and burned all those sticks from down there. Another thing for you to see is the phlox. Isn't that pretty? And that's Trudy, 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 Trudy. Trudy, 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 Trudy. First thing in the morning and all day long, isn't that nice? But this is the main feature. Look at this, the daisies. I started as one row up against the boathouse. Now, isn't that elegant? You want to see them up close? I feed the birds in the morning and in the evening and during the day, and they're very responsive. So we'll start out on these errands, folks. We accomplish a lot. It's 10 o'clock. And we work very hard. But it's very interesting. And we're like Martha in the Bible, working hard at all kinds of things to do. And Mary, who was doing what was the right thing, sitting before the feet of Jesus and learning about God. But let's look at it differently, okay? Let's look at it this way, that Mary and Martha and Jesus and God and you and I, we're all together. As long as every 15 minutes we stop and remember that and are not taken over by too much to do. So let's go back. Martha and Mary and Jesus and the disciples and you and I and God, we're all together. And every 15 minutes we remember that. And during those 15 minutes we go out and we work together and we serve together. Praise to the Lord, the Almighty, the King of creation. Oh my soul, praise Him. He is our health and salvation. All people who hear to His temple draw near. Join me in glad adoration. Guess I need to work on that one. This is much better than what we had to do, leaning over a bathtub and wash them by hand. I remember when the washing machines came in, they had wringers, and you had to take everything out and wring it. It used to take hours to do a I'm going to my place.
What's that?
I'm going to my place.
You're going to your place.
It's my place right over there. That's my place right over there.
Right here? Yeah. Is there a problem here?
Why? You say, wait. Look what we can see out of our window. A host of daisies. Oh, they are so pretty. How many are there, folks? How many daisies do you think are there? Let's see. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. That would be half. I'm going to say 2,500. How many would you say? Yeah, starts here. Maybe I'd better go outdoors and give you a better look. I didn't count that appendage there to the right, so that's 500. No, that's 200. Okay, I'm going to say 2,700. What are you going to say?